Welcome to Over the Falls podcast, episode number 39. This week, we sat down with James Edwards. We talked about his journey with mental and physical health, diet, testosterone, his new venture as a men's coach, and of course, a few tangents along the way. Let's go. Let's start with you and where you were born, where you grew up, and your reasons for moving to Aber, if we can, James.
Cool, man. So, born in Leeds.
Yeah.
So my mum was working for the government. So we moved, she moved to Leeds, had me there for about a year, and then moved to Guildford near London.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
7 years there. Kind of enjoyed school, that whole period. And then we moved to Aber then. My dad was working here in the hospital. So moved here, his family were all based here. And yeah, got into school and stuff. Didn't really enjoy school too much here.
Okay.
Then went to Penwethig, funnily enough, even though I couldn't speck Welsh.
How did that go? How
Yeah,
did that go in terms of the language barrier, etc.?
It was tough.
I bet it was.
Yeah, it was tough. There's still a kind of a bit of a national thing going on between the Welsh and the English, you know.
Yeah.
And back then, like 2000s, there was still this lack of acceptance if you couldn't speak Welsh. So it was hard. Definitely struggled there. And I think that I just wouldn't have done well in any school because I just couldn't focus. Like I was so like scatty in my headspace. And yeah, just that typical, like I didn't realize at the time, never got diagnosed with it, but that kind of, I hate to throw the term around, but the ADHD style, you know, just hyper focus on certain things, but equally the inability to actually concentrate on anything that you don't want to do.
Yeah. Okay.
So there was this, like, I'm sure you've heard it before, the teachers saying he's got so much potential, but never saw any of it through. You know, I had
The classic.
my own table outside the classroom that I went to nearly every class, like climbed out the window to escape. And yeah, it was
So I bet you felt really cast to the side,
definitely, man.
especially with the Welsh English thing, and teachers just being like, "Oh well, you know, we won't have him forever."
Yeah, and you know the bullying thing as well. You know, kids will kind of just by nature just kind of segregate the odd one out.
Kids can be pretty horrible, really.
Yeah,
unfortunately.
definitely, man.
So you felt the odd one out in there?
Yeah, 100%. And that was tough. Wasn't really enjoying home life. School life was hard, and it just kind of slowly sapped my confidence, especially through secondary school. Didn't really know what I wanted to do with my life. You know, that typical narrative. A lot of young guys now came out at 18 and just didn't really have any direction at that point. Worked in a few jobs for a couple of years, just kind of odd jobs, and then I started my fitness journey. So went to Cardiff to do my level 3 personal training, and then worked in the gym, Pure Gym actually, in the Stadium Plaza. So I was there for 2 years, and then I kind of found my feet a little bit at that point, made some friends. We were going out a lot and stuff, you know, as you do when you live in a city.
Do you enjoy Cardiff?
Yeah, it was sick.
It was good city, isn't it?
It was sick.
Yeah.
So I got a job on a bar down the bay. Because as you know, as a personal trainer, you don't make any money for like the first 6 months.
You've got to break it, haven't you?
At least
So
I imagine.
Yeah.
I was working in Pure Gym for free, taking classes. And to make my money for rent, I'd go and work on the bar in the evening. So I was doing kind of full days, like 10, 12-hour days on the gym floor, trying to get clients. And then I'd go and do a night shift from like 10 till 3 on the bar after that. And then we'd go out without fail every weekend as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, good. That's kind of where I found my confidence a bit again, like realizing that I could stand in front of like 40 women and teach a fat loss class. Absolutely shat my pants first time I had to do that.
I bet you did.
I bet you did, yeah. It's quite hard. Public speaking's quite a
Yes.
thing for I would say 99% of people. You do get those odd people who are probably just naturally really good at it from a young age, but I think a lot of people kind of terrifies you a little bit, doesn't it, the public speaking thing? Well, what originally kind of drew you to go down the sort of fitness and sport route? Like, why did you choose to go to Cardiff and kind of do that, if you know what I mean?
I think I'd always loved the gym. For me was like my safe space. Started training probably about 17, just a typical bodybuilding thing. And I think when you come from a very anxious, nervous place, like you feel like if you can build a physique, you've got something to stand behind.
Yeah, yeah.
And it's something, you know.
It's just a confidence thing. And
Definitely,
like,
definitely. You know, and maybe that's not, in hindsight, that probably wasn't the right way to look at it, but it happened. And then I thought, you know, why not give the fitness thing a go? I always had this feeling like I wanted to help people. So yeah, got into the one-to-one. Did that for a couple of years. Decided that the gym floor stuff just wasn't for me. Moved to Bristol and actually worked for a concrete firm then. So we were just doing renovations and driveways and stuff like that for 2 years.
That's
quite different.
Yeah.
Different and difficult job, I imagine, as well. Concrete, and it's quite a tough.
Yeah,
trade.
I do like the manual labour, so like just swinging sledgehammers and jackhammers and stuff all day. Like it was nice at the time because I wasn't, you know, I was 23 and I think I just wasn't mentally strong enough to manage my own finances and run my own business.
Yeah.
So just going back to a 9-to-5 wage was like probably the best thing I could have done, you know.
Yeah.
So I lived with a load of mountain bikers in Bristol and we were just doing construction and riding bikes.
Cool.
Amazing.
Going out all the time. Motion, Bristol.
Motion. Yeah.
Too many raves.
Is that the skate park?
It was, yeah. And
the
it's
old
just
skate park.
they've just turned it into a club now.
Never been heard about it though.
Many
think Annie Mac was
sunrises
there
we've
on the
seen there,
weekend.
man.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Quite a lot
Yeah.
of drum and like a big drum and bass scene in Bristol, isn't it?
Yeah.
Bristol's sick for the music scene.
And graffiti.
Really cool. Yeah.
Really cool graffiti.
Lots of
Yeah,
people
yeah.
we know moved there, I think, over
Yeah,
the
they
years,
did.
haven't they?
Yes.
Yeah.
It's
They
always
did.
the first port of call, I think.
So how long were you in Bristol for?
That was 2 years.
Yeah.
And then I'd always wanted to be a tree surgeon. So I got to a point in Bristol where I was like, I've done enough of like the labouring now. I want to try and build some kind of career. So I thought the tree surgery scene, the qualification stuff was actually better back here.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I moved back to my parents and did my forestry qualifications for commercial logging.
Cool.
Ended up working for a commercial logging firm, and then I never did the tree surgery. Just carried on with the big, you know, like, have you ever seen Axeman?
I've seen a couple of episodes, yeah.
It was basically just like that, trees flying everywhere and massive machines and
Yeah.
So is that around, all
harvesters
around
and all
here
that.
though?
yeah.
Big trees.
Yeah. So I started off, when you start in forestry, you're basically green and you're on the chokers. So have you seen it when they've got to like basically attach the trees to the line?
You're kind of like the apprentice.
Yeah.
Making
The
tea,
greenhorn.
doing the basic jobs, and then
Literally,
you
yeah.
can go up the pecking order.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I was dragging chains across the bank for a year or so. And then eventually got to chainsaw operator. And I was doing that for on and off for 5 years.
Wow.
Did you enjoy that?
Love, hate, man. Love, hate. Like, we're all, you know, in our own way, adrenaline junkies. And like fell in a 120-foot Douglas fir next to a road. When you've got traffic lights controlling it, and if you mess up, you'll drop the tree on all the cars that are waiting to go through. Like, that is a buzz, man.
Buzz. Yeah.
Health and safety.
Yeah, literally.
It's so nice seeing it fall the right way.
Yeah.
I've seen too many of
it's
those
a hell
videos
of a
online
place.
when they like don't go on the house.
Yeah.
And then the tree just goes
straight
straight on
down
the
the
house
highway.
like a magnet, you know. You know, when you were working in this logging thing, like was it anything like the trade sort of industry when it was a little bit of a work hard, play hard ethic sort of thing where you'd smash it in work and then maybe go out a lot as well?
I think I was coming to the end of my party life by then. So this was, I was about 26, 27.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, some of the boys most of the boys with us were just going hard, like turning up to work, absolutely hanging, like falling asleep in bushes and stuff.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
All been there, mate.
Yeah.
Oh, my goodness.
It's funny when you get to sort of 25, 26, everyone sort of hits that crossroads and they either carry on and be wreckheads until like 50. Or you go, do you know what? But enough of this.
Definitely,
Just
mate.
go and get a proper job.
Yeah. And it's like, you don't want that, like everyone loves a night out, but you don't want that consistent
No.
hanging out your
my
ass.
life.
No.
And you start to enjoy weekends being sober, don't you?
Got an extra day, haven't you?
Feeling good.
Yeah.
And not missing out.
I like sleep. I like a good night's sleep, like clean, and then waking up and being like, ha,
Yeah.
I don't feel bad today.
Yeah. Got a whole new fresh day ahead.
Yeah.
Definitely.
It's a good feeling. Wow.
So you were in Bristol for that long, and then what happened after Bristol? When did you come back here after Bristol?
Yeah, so come back to start logging.
Yeah.
And then that was all the way up until 2020.
Okay.
So I was working with the big commercial teams to start with, and then I ended up with another firm, and we're doing like storm response and stuff like that. So just felling dangerous trees by the side of the roads, which was a little bit easier, to be fair. But by the end, I was just like sick of the long winters. And, you know, it's just hard on the body, like.
It's a dangerous job as well, isn't it?
Yeah, I had a few near misses. A guy that we were working with actually it wasn't kind of really my fault, but it definitely affected me mentally, because I was driving the Skyline, which is essentially a 30-ton excavator that's been turned into a winch.
Okay.
And it drags the trees up the bank. And one of our guys, Clive, he was down the bank, and it was my job to pull the tree up. So he's about 600 meters down this bank, and I pull the tree up. He's on the radio. Okay, haul in. So I pull it up to the top, and then Dave is in a harvester next to me, and he comes and grabs the tree, takes it off me, and then pulls it away to safety. So anyway, when we were doing this, he missed one of the trees, and it just slipped out of the head. And because they've had all the branches cut off them, it's essentially like an 80-foot dart going down a bank. And the tree coming down, have you ever seen a film where an aeroplane hits the floor and everything's just flying up in the air?
Yeah.
Anyway, this tree goes down the bank, and we're sat in the machine, so we can't see anything. And we're just radioing down saying, is everything okay? And I just looked over the bank, and I can just see this like orange high-vis in like a whole clump of trees. And we'd gone down, and yeah, it was a mess. Like I had to run about a couple of miles to go and get signal for the air ambulance, and his leg was like that way. I think he ended up breaking hip, back, femur. So yeah, that was. I definitely had.
I guess.
Yeah, he was okay. He was okay. I think he was in a wheelchair for a while, but that at this point I hadn't done any work on my mental health. I just winged it, and that definitely affected me. It was something that I struggled to deal with, and I don't think I ever really got my confidence back after that.
Really?
In forestry anyway.
Yeah, I can imagine that.
So after that incident then, did you actually sit down with anybody? Did the company sit you down and say, look, this has happened, or nothing?
No, there was no. Again, it's like the stiff upper lip, you know. Yes. It's like, and fair play to them. I love those guys. You know, they were absolute grafters, and they taught me a lot about strength and like how to just get up and go. And I needed some of that, you know, like I needed to get tougher mentally. So I appreciated that. But in terms of talking as men and being vulnerable, like
no, it doesn't happen. It's like construction industry. It just doesn't happen.
It's just shown as like skimmed over, isn't it?
It is skimmed over. Like they'll do like toolbox talks on it and stuff, and then they just won't make any eye contact. They'll sort of like, oh, whatever, and then just like off they go. But you know, 50 to 60% of them are probably struggling themselves. They just don't admit it. But yeah.
They'll all be laughing and joking.
Well, that's the thing, you know,
on something like a toolbox talk. Yeah. But really, they just, I don't know, like I've been there as well. Like you kind of want to be the class clown, and you're dragging it away from the actual topic itself, which is obviously really important. And yeah, like a lot of people probably are suffering, maybe even in that room of that talk, but they just don't want, they just want to put that mask on.
It's usually the loudest person, isn't it? It's usually like the one who's making the jokes who's probably suffering the most.
Definitely, man.
Usually.
Definitely.
Exactly. Did you speak to, you know, the guy who obviously got injured quite badly? Did you ever speak to him sort of on any level after the accident sort of thing?
I never actually saw him in person again after that, because he stopped permanently. I don't know whether he had an exit payout or insurance or something that. But I never actually, I knew he was okay. I asked about him, but because he lived kind of up north a bit more, I never actually got to see him in person again. But
do you think that would help? Do you think if you reached out to him and just sort of a bit of closure to make sure he's all right, and then that would sort of potentially close that door almost?
Yeah, that's probably a good idea.
Yeah. You mentioned 2020 as well. So like, did you leave that industry because of COVID, or did you leave that industry directly because of that accident, so to speak?
So let me rewind it a little bit. So we go back to 2018.
Yeah.
And 2018 is the reason why I am where I am now. So I was in a bad relationship. I'm not going to badmouth it, but you know, we've all had them. And because of this accident and just the stress of like starting at 5 a.m, trying to manage myself within this relationship as well. This kind of led to this one morning where I was supposed to be going to Europe. I was going to do a little van tour, just travel around, and I needed to get a passport. So I went to Newport to go and get the fast ones, and I stayed in my van overnight, and something was off. Like I wasn't feeling good for months before that, but something wasn't right. And I went into the passport office, and I just heard this voice, and like turned around, and there was no one there. So long story short, I think that I never got it diagnosed, but I think that I developed schizophrenia, and I was hearing voices flat out, and this kind of carried on for about a year and a half. Saw
heavy.
various doctors, went on meds, which made it worse. I'm not for or against meds, but they don't work for everyone, and sometimes they do make it worse.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was the hardest thing I've ever had to go through in my life. Like trying to go to sleep and hearing voices that you can't turn off. Like I literally thought that was my brain was broken, like fully fucking gone.
Oh man,
Shit.
And
It's a year and a half. That's quite a long time to the sort of.
and it's not really
sapping too. Like
Definitely,
constantly
mate.
having to think. Is this
Imagine that.
you're trying to stop it.
Yeah.
And I've never actually spoken about it, certainly like this before. It's something that I felt, I didn't really feel ashamed of it, but I was worried that people would look at me differently, because it is, you say that to someone like, you were hearing voices, and people like, if you're not an open person, you're like, oh wow, this guy's fucked,
Yeah.
So yeah, that was a journey which I now appreciate, but I wouldn't wish it on anyone.
Ooh.
And it
I'm
made
sure not.
me so unbelievably grateful when I got out of it. That was 2020 during lockdown. I stopped, obviously, because everyone stopped. And that gave me the opportunity to do a lot of meditation, cold water therapy. I was running every morning. Everything. I was like, right, I need to apply everything you can possibly do to fix your own mental health, because I didn't have anyone to help me. Like no one understood.
Well done for taking that path. Cause,
Yeah.
Thank you, man.
Because
Yeah.
a lot of people could have gone the other way there.
Yes.
That's crazy, that is. And did you know that you needed to run cold water therapy? Were you do any research online to think this is what I need to do?
I think, yeah, there wasn't much at the time in terms of, I remember typing it in on YouTube and there was nothing, like intrusive thoughts, hearing voices. There was not one video on it. And now there are thousands.
Yeah.
So it was just me making a shit ton of mistakes and trying loads of different things. And I was like, I don't want to carry on like this. So I've got to either fix it or give up here, and yeah, it's been emotional.
Yeah.
But
And it pushed me into the space I'm in now. So yeah, the last 4 years, my main hustle has been my media company. So providing content for outdoor brands, commercial stuff, weddings. And then it's always been in the back of my mind since I went through that whole thing that I just wanted to help men really. Just because when I was in that place, I didn't have anyone there. And I know, like, as you guys know as well, how many men are struggling now. And I felt like I went through that experience to develop this gift to be able to give that to other people, essentially.
We can certainly give advice and help because you've been there. People are going through the same thing. It's like, I know what you're going through. Rather than going to a doctor who may not have been through something like that because they don't really understand. They just read it in a book.
Exactly.
So in your sort of through your experiences and what's your opinion on why are men so bad at talking and why are men so bad at opening up? What do you think? I'm not looking for an absolute answer. It's just We are.
It's because, you know, men by nature are tough and strong. You know, that's where, especially in history, even more so than now, we were warriors. We were protecting our family, our community, our country, and strength. It didn't sit in the same corner as emotion.
No.
It couldn't. You know,
it couldn't.
you couldn't. You know, what do they do when they send you to the Marines or Navy SEALs? They have to drum that emotion out of you to make you tough. So if by nature we needed to be tough, then we couldn't feel, you know, emotion at the same time.
Yeah.
So that's why so many men struggle to open up.
You shut that down for years and years and years and years, and then it opens up all new problems, doesn't it?
Oh, yeah.
You get PTSD, you get you know, silent types, you get intrusive thoughts, possibly. You know.
It's a lot of them.
I just wonder
and stuff as well.
I just wonder what the happy medium is between all of this, to find that balance of being strong, healthily. You know.
That's my campaign there. You just hit the nail on the head. You know, like showing, especially young men, because I feel like they need guiding more than any of us.
Yeah, of course.
How to be, I call it like a new age masculine, where you are in touch with your emotions, you're compassionate, you're open and aware. Self-aware is huge, you know, being self-aware. Being able to call yourself out on your shit and not just be toxic, but be strong enough to still be a warrior. I love the terminology, be a warrior in a garden, not a gardener in a war. So you're essentially capable of violence and protecting the people you love, but you've got it under full conscious control, and you're able to talk emotionally and to be there for your brothers, so you can support them as well. And then if you lead from the front in that way, then the younger guys and anyone who is struggling with their masculinity and how to fit into this new world, they see these role models, and they have a reason and a path to follow, if that makes sense.
Definitely, mate.
And your children as well. You know?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Like you're saying that young guys are coming to you and trying to get help. Do you think, I'm going to throw social media out there straight away now,
Let's go.
have a massive effect on them, isn't it?
Unbelievable, mate. Going back to COVID, 1 in 3 young guys under 25 have reported in the UK having no sex in the last year. And that is horrendous. And there's so many men on dating apps who are completely lost. You're not getting any attention anymore. Don't know their place in the world, and then social media has just completely exacerbated that problem. The way that the brain is wired actually changes through excessive social media use. So if you sit with a man a young guy in his early 20s, and he's used his phone non-stop for the last 4 years, and you've been socializing with your friends and living a good life and, you know, living for your family, your brain will literally be wired differently to this young guy. And they can't keep eye contact. They exude this uneasiness, you know.
It's like an anxiousness, isn't it?
And it's so, you know, I'm sure we've all experienced our own version of that, but yeah, it's tough. It's tough to live with that, and
the expectations and like the comparison with other people.
It's a tool of personality destruction, and I'm a hypocrite because I spend, you know, my business is social media, and I spend most of my time on social media, but I'm trying to just punch through the noise a little bit and actually just put a line out there to show them it can be good.
I think if you're self-aware of that as well inside you, so if you're aware that your scrolling is for a purpose rather than just mindless comparisons, subconscious comparisons.
Yeah, definitely.
I think that's a much better way to manage it, isn't it?
Talking about your brain wired differently. I had like a 12-day break off my mobile phone when I was on holiday. Felt so good. No
Amazing.
social media. Obviously I was checking texts maybe every few days. But like the doom scrolling, none of that. I felt really good. My brain was just like, felt normal.
Yeah.
As soon as I come home, straight back on it. And you're back on that gravy train again. It does affect your brain. Definitely does. You know, like your
100%.
concentration levels, it affects loads of stuff.
It's design. It's by design. It's
The algorithms, isn't it?
the most powerful marketing
addiction.
tool that's ever been created.
Without doubt.
Yeah.
And that's all it is. It's
You
marketing,
pause for like a millisecond on a certain video, and then it's like downloading what you like, isn't it? It's like, right, he paused on that video. Okay, we'll feed him some more of that. He seems a little bit right wing. We're going to feed him some more of that. And it's crazy, isn't it? And then AI on top of it all. So it's not just people creating the algorithms or understanding what you want or what you like. But yeah, you're right. It's like an amazing advertisement for you, tailor-made for you.
Literally, man.
To buy, to spend your time. Just
You go to an airport or coffee shop, or especially city, and you look around and you see couples both on their phones. I actually did I've been traveling quite a lot recently, going to like airports, and I did a little test last time I was in one, and I was like, I'm going to sit for the whole time I'm waiting for my flight, and I'm not going to do anything. I'm just going to watch people and see what they do. And 95% at least of them were, even if they were couples, they were just on their phone the whole time. And what was really sad was you could see one of the two of the couple would be looking at the other one as if they wanted some recognition,
interaction,
and they just be like
human
that.
interaction.
Yeah, literally, man.
I see on dates. Dates is a big one.
Dates, we talked about this last week when we met up, but like the families with the kids, that's going to open up a bit of a can of worms now, but like with the kids on the tablets, kids on the phones, I mean, we haven't gone down that route as parents. We haven't done it yet. My kid's 7 and she's 5. And I'm going to hold out for as long as physically possible. Because it's got to have a detrimental effect to them. It must do. Like the eye contact, you know, the social skills. You know, when they grow up and go for job interviews, I want them to be able to talk to people. And just get on with life and just be confident. Surely that's stripping all sorts of stuff from them.
You're creating a scapegoat to go to whenever there's a problem. So if you notice now, if you're in a group of people and there's an awkward silence, someone in that group will get their phone out, literally just because they felt awkward in that moment. And if you teach a child that's 7 years old, not only if they get awkward, but if they feel unhappy or bored or lonely or hungry or anything, it's have that. Go on it. And their addiction is going to be unbelievable. Like we haven't seen it yet.
No,
they're not going to be able to put them down because that's what we grew up with, swords and shooting bow and arrows at each other and stuff. And now they're
falling out of trees.
Literally. And now they're looking at screens, and what's hardwired from childhood is very, very difficult to undo. It's the same with obesity. Like if a child is overweight, it's much harder for them to lose fat than it would be for an adult that was thin and then got fat, because that's the programming. At 1 to 7 years old, that's when we learn nearly everything that we believe in now was learned at that point. So if that's technology and dopamine hits, you know,
that's it, isn't it? So it's quick hits. It's hunting for likes or whatever.
Like learn behavior. So your child kicks off screen. Your child kicks off sugar.
I think,
and it's like a learned behavior.
It's important to acknowledge as well that it's not the fault of the parents. So if anyone is, watching and feeling guilty, no one has been told, especially in the mainstream media, that any of this is bad so far. They're not saying get your kids off social media. So it's really important for parents now to do their due diligence and look into what sugar is doing to kids, what social media is doing to them, and take their own action. Because it's neither of those two things are good for kids at all. Really not.
Touched on diet there. Like, you're obviously quite tuned into it. So, I mean, give us an example of what you would have on like a day. Like today, for example, what have you...
So I follow a diet called animal-based diet. It's like a hybrid of carnivore and keto. So it's high fat, animal proteins, and just fruit essentially. Avocado, which I think is a fruit. Yes. That's basically the only green thing I have.
You've got an avocado tree.
I have.
Really?
Have you got an avocado?
Amazing.
Yeah.
Really good yield, as I remember.
In the UK, it takes 44 years on average, so it'll be a while. And the first avocado I've actually promised to a tattoo artist called Charlie Cook. We started messaging about a tattoo, and she was like, well, I like doing avocados. And I was like, well, I've got an avocado tree. She goes, give me the first avocado and we'll have a trade-off. So
there we go.
She'll have to wait a bit.
Sorry, mate, digress.
Sorry. On
that
this
does happen.
diet, I see a lot of it on social media and things like that, and it seems to be becoming quite popular. Is the diet that you follow similar to, like, so I'll see maybe like steak, eggs, grass-fed butter, avocado, fruit? Is it almost like raw healthy foods with no additives?
No carbs by the sound of it.
Like, or like food that people probably ate in the 70s and everyone looked better in the 70s? Is it something like that?
So it's essentially what we would have eaten for thousands of years.
Yeah.
Bar maybe the exotic fruits, but we would have been eating deer, rabbits, and we would have eaten a whole lot. You know, and we would have eaten once a day, tops. And then we may have been foraging some berries and things like that, but there was no McDonald's, there was no bread. Grains, especially highly processed grains, are not supposed to be in our bodies. And all of these modern foods are causing chronic inflammation, which again isn't spoken about. We talk about weight loss and fat loss, but no one's really talking about inflammation and how bad that is for the body. Autoimmune conditions, skin conditions, eye conditions. We've got this whole influx of type 2 diabetes now, which is because of sugar and processed foods. It's and again, this diet is the antidote to that, I believe. It's something that I'm prescribing to my guys on my course. We're seeing people overcoming lifelong eczema, even anxieties, depressions, the gut microbiome being responsible for creating the hormones which make us feel good. So if those are in a poor situation, then you're essentially not going to get the chemicals you need in your brain. So your depression could literally be caused by your diet, just your diet. And obviously there could well be other factors in play as well.
I totally believe that.
Yeah.
I went, I suffered a little bit with a bit of body dysmorphia. Late teens to sort of mid 20s. And whenever I felt good eating this food because it was just like sugar and pizza, you know, all that sort of stuff. And the next morning I'd feel so guilty and feel so down and it was just, I was just in this little cycle. I was looking at my body, I was going, oh my God, I started getting into a rut, you know. It's really glad that I got myself out of that. But like, diet is so important. Like, I think you're absolutely right. I think people need to hit that really hard and educate themselves really solidly on diet. Diet is, because it's every day you got to eat. You know, you got to eat and you got to eat well.
Exactly. Yeah, and there's so much misinformation out there. You know, you go on social media and if you're into fitness now, you're inundated with fat loss pills and injections and liposuction and, you know, there's any diet you could possibly think of and it's all pushed right in your face.
So, all for that, isn't it?
Yeah.
It sells, doesn't it? People go on the yo-yo diets and then they'll just have like a celery soup or something, just crazy stuff.
It's not sustainable, is it? It's just not sustainable.
No, of course
you can't
it's
live
not.
off like celery soup. They're going to be like absolutely starving in 3 days and go, do you know what? I'm going for a McDonald's.
Yeah.
It works and it gets fast results, and this is why these professionals do it, because it's a testimonial that makes their business look good. So they don't care if you put the fat back on after, but you've got ripped in 6 weeks. So they're happy.
Photo.
You know?
Exactly. They got that side-by-side photo. Move on to the next one. You touched on, I think you talked about like hormones in terms of with the food and things. And we spoke a little bit off air a few days ago about like testosterone. And I was going to ask you, like, how important is testosterone, do you think, to a male, to how he feels?
Incredibly.
Yeah.
Incredibly important. So a man in his early 20s now has the testosterone of a man in his 60s in the Second World War. So if you think about a 21-year-old guy is supposed to have, well, his testosterone at that point is going to be the highest, unless he optimizes it in another way, that's the highest it's ever going to be. and then from there it's a slow trajectory downwards. What I've found is testosterone in men and the lack of it is one of the main reasons for male mental health issues. The anxiety and depression that is caused by low testosterone is ripping through the whole world. And this then ties back into the diet as well. The more you eat processed food and you put on body fat, the lower your testosterone is. And then the lower your testosterone is, the worse you feel. So it's cyclical. And
also you're also gonna get like self-esteem issues, and then that's gonna hit your social interactions, and you're never gonna go out there, and all the confidence then just goes.
Yeah, literally. And it's the opposite of what we need for men, you know. I'm not sure whether I think the masculinity narrative has got a bit confused, so young men now don't know where they sit. So because of, you know, women have been treated horrendously in history, and they haven't had a fraction of equality in terms of, you know, of pay and treatment by a lot of horrible men. However, the vast majority of men are good and they're peaceful and they want to, you know, care for women and look after them. So I think the people are confused on what masculinity now is.
Because of people using the phrase of toxic masculinity.
Exactly. So then you get these young guys that go, oh, I don't want to be masculine anymore because this is deemed to be negative, you know, and I don't want women to think that I'm going to be nasty to them or, you know, take advantage of them. So I'm not going to display any signs of strength. And then, you know, where do they sit? Where do you sit?
Yeah.
Are you masculine? Are you feminine? Like, you know, are you going to take charge of your life and look after your family, or just be just exist, essentially?
Sorry, mate.
So what do you think is the balanced, healthy way of being a 20-year-old man? What sort of lifestyle do you think is best for that person? Like, in terms of eating, in terms of exercise, in terms of social media use, you know, all that sort of stuff. If you could go back and relive your life, or that part of your life in a moment, how would you do it? Like perfect.
That's a good question.
Or to your perfect.
So obviously we still need, at that age, you still need to have fun, don't you? You know,
and make mistakes, I think.
Yeah.
As well, yeah. Weirdly.
So I could say there's a perfect prescription on how you need to live like a robot, but we all had a lot of fun. You know, we had nights out, and I think that you build your character through that. So I think that you could probably leave them alone until maybe 25.
Cool. Yeah.
And then you say, look, now you need to think about what you want in the next 5 years of your life. And then you start committing to the daily practices, you know, waking up earlier and working on your mental health, your meditations, you know, and the community as well. Like, a lot of guys now don't even have a best friend, you know, and having friends around you to call you out on your shit and just be there for you when you're struggling, and have that team, like that's so important for guys. And that's really what I see in a lot of them. They just don't have anyone there to share the journey with, you know. And yeah, so they would need to obviously dial the diet in, maybe stop drinking alcohol quite as much after 25. And then get in, you know, you don't have to get in the gym. I don't tell people to get in the gym, just do some exercise. There's 78% of people in America and the UK don't even do any exercise. I find that, like, that's insane.
Yeah, it's baffling, that is.
You know, and you could use exercise as the first metric of happiness.
Oh, definitely.
You know,
you feel so good, even just take a little walk.
Yeah.
Just get some fresh air.
Yeah, we've talked. That's a cert.
Yeah. Oh, 100%.
That's like,
everybody is different, but you know, I think for Dave, it's like
it.
Cardio. For me, it's weight training. Weight training makes me feel so much better. I think after speaking to you, I think maybe it is tied in. Even if I get like a little bit more testosterone through the weight training, maybe just it naturally makes me feel better and maybe have a little bit more energy. But one of the reasons why I brought up the testosterone thing as well is, like, nowadays, you know, a lot of people talk about like the menopause with women, obviously, and it's like a big thing, and they're trying to do things to like help it, and they're doing cold plunge therapy and things like that. And I'm wondering if maybe it's going to come and it's going to be a lot of attention on men with their declining testosterone, because it was like once you hit 30, it is downhill. So like, yeah, the peak might be 20. It's like plateau to 30, and then it is down. So we're 42 this year, aren't we?
Yeah.
So we are definitely ghosting down that hill.
Yeah, sail off the sunset, aren't we?
Yeah. So yeah, I don't know. I feel like people do need to try and do something, or I feel like I need to try and do little things to keep it not declining so fast, I suppose.
But I had just a random blood test, and they found like a severely underactive thyroid, completely undiagnosed. But I just put being really tired and very low mood for a long time down to having kids. And it was just this blood test I had, and I said, do you mind just checking like everything? Just give me an MOT. Came back like next day, my thyroid levels were so low. She was like, you need to come in today. You need to get on medication today. So I'm medication for life now. It's literally changed my life. I can't believe I was coping for 2-3 years, I'd say, at least. And the thing is as well, you think with like an underactive thyroid, you'd be like, you're really, really tired, couldn't sleep. It gave me like borderline insomnia, anxiousness, because if you're not sleeping, you're all over the shop. I get into a position in the middle of the night where I'd go to sleep okay, but then I'd wake up at like 1, 2, 3 in the morning, and I'd be up till 5 or 6, and you're in panic mode then, thinking, my kid's going to get up in a minute. But those pills, what I'm trying to get at is, if you're feeling any of these symptoms, go get your blood checked before going on antidepressants, maybe. Do you know what I'm saying? Because I'll be honest, the first thing they tried to shove with the desk was antidepressants.
No way.
Yeah, it was just me asking for a blood test.
Wow.
I think that what you spoke about there is something that a lot of, not that exact issue, but a lot of men will be going through, like you said, past 40. Testosterone starts to drop and they'll never do anything about it. But there are small things you can do before looking into TRT, testosterone replacement.
Yeah.
Which is still actually quite frowned upon in the UK.
I'm going to do that when I'm 50, I think.
Yeah.
I would joke about it with Dave and say, look at those Hollywood actors living their best life. And they're like, I remember like Harrison Ford, I think it was, in a movie. I think he was 80. He was absolutely jacked.
Oh, yeah. I'm getting my hair done, my teeth done, the snip. I'm going to go on TRT when I'm 50. Bang it out there. Happy birthday. Yeah.
Full lot.
Oh, yeah. But it looks amazing. I remember the first time I heard about it, there was a fighter called Chael Sonnen. And he was talking about it.
He was.
I think he was like, 50 or whatever he was at the time, saying he feels better, he looks better, and he just looked amazing. He just looked like, and he said he felt like a 25, 26-year-old again.
I remember that it was legal for a little bit of time in the UFC as well, and people like Vitor Belfort and a number of fighters, they were going in that loophole where they'd go in and they say they had low testosterone, and then they were letting them getting juiced up to the gills. Like Vitor Belfort was a monster when he was on the roids.
But do you know anyone who's done like TRT?
I do, yeah. I've
okay.
got a few friends who are on it, and it's transformed them.
I'm sure.
Is the elixir of life for men. And yeah, there's actually a lot of things you can do prior to going on TRT. So there's 3 herbs, which they now prescribe a lot in America: Fidogia grastis, Tonga Ali, and ashwagandha. And you can get these on Amazon. They're not illegal. I think they're trying to ban them in the UK.
Do you know why they're trying to ban them? Or
there's a rabbit hole.
Want to make some money, don't they?
Are we going to get the tinfoil hats on?
I think the only thing I could say especially about Tonga Ali, is because it's so good at bringing your testosterone up. So they measure testosterone in nanograms, and my friend came to me a couple of months back, and he was dealing with some depression and anxiety for quite a long time. And I said, if you thought about your testosterone, like what's your sex drive like? How are you feeling? He said it's non-existent. So I said, just try these herbs. You come back. So he'd had his bloods done at 350 nm, which is The NHS would say that's within the low normal range. However, it is ridiculously low and enough to make you feel horrendous. He come back 2 months later, 900, which is nearly the equivalent of someone who's on TRT.
Whoa.
I've had mine done. I've struggled with low testosterone in the past, and that definitely impacted my mental health as well. Mine is about the 900 now as well.
Just on these
15900, just with.
Are they like tablets? Come in tablet form?
Yeah, it's all just tablet form. Take it every day.
Where does it come from? Is it like a mushroom? What is it?
They're roots.
Root okay.
Extracts, and they've been used in the East for thousands of years, fertility and stuff like that. And just a natural herb which actually does work. And then again with lifestyle changes in your diet, taking out the processed foods, doing more strength training, opening up about your own mental health issues, like those just accumulate, and you collect all of these different methods together, and that is what I believe men need.
That's the balance
to feel good. So it's not just one thing. You can't just take a tablet and feel better,
Yeah.
You have to collect it all, and I know it's hard, but if you don't do it and you feel shit, you're not going to get any better,
It's a little bit of a tightrope, really, isn't it? Because we talked about, you don't want to be like overly aggressive or overly masculine. Then you probably maybe don't want to go all the way on the other side, because then you'd be like, oh, I'm not even allowed to be masculine or strong in any way now. So like, I can understand why it's difficult for young people, where you've got to try and like find that right balance for yourself of being what a man is in 2024. I can't imagine how difficult it is for adolescent people or pre-adolescent people. And then we spoke on a previous podcast about people who like got lost in COVID and they didn't really have that growing up time, 16, 17, 18, 19, girls, boys, whatever you're into, clubs, drinking. They were just looking at a blue screen in their bedroom. I just can't imagine how bad that would be. I'm so grateful I had sort of like the time that we had.
Oh yeah, I met a couple of guys when I was out in Cardiff on the weekend, and I think they were like 24, 22. I can't remember what it was. Anyway, missed those 2 years.
Yeah,
like it really affected them.
I think it's more
like quite a deep conversation.
Like
with
3,
4.
Like
they were just like really sort of opened up. I was just sitting there, just like having a really nice conversation with them. It's like there's millions of people like that at that age. It's really affected them, isn't it?
A huge gap.
Yeah.
We still talking about these younger men, and we mentioned role models earlier. Who are some of your role models?
So I have quite a few.
I'm really glad, because I was dreading you going, I don't really have any.
So I love the realm of spirituality and Buddhism. I wouldn't call myself Buddhist, but I listen to Buddhist teachings every night. That helps me sleep. Maybe it's just because they're boring. No.
You've been to Thailand, haven't you?
Been a few times, yeah.
I've just come back like in March from
Amazing.
Thailand, and
Sick.
What a place.
Buddhism was incredible.
It is
such a nice religion, I think.
Yeah.
If I had to choose one, it's just the practice of peace, love and kindness, and they say the kingdom of heaven is within. So that basically means we're in heaven right now.
They're not even promising anything
No.
on the back
Yeah, it's
end.
not
If
reward.
you do
No.
X, Y, and Z and toe the line, then you'll go there. Because then it's like, I don't bash any like.
And if you're bad, you'll go to hell.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I love the whole practice of the meditation and just that peace. But then on the flip side, I love Jocko Willink, David Goggins, Tony Robbins, guys that are pushing hard in the the fitness and the personal development space, and very, you call it hyper masculine.
Are those guys?
I know David Goggins is an absolute.
I know the
headbanger.
names, but
Amazing.
the other two guys I don't know.
You don't know
So-
me, son, is Goggins, isn't he? And he's running everywhere. Is that
Yeah,
Goggins?
ex-Navy SEAL.
Yes.
That's it.
Oh,
Yeah.
he's
Yes.
the black guy that's on
Yes.
Joe Rogan sometimes.
Yes.
Yes.
I know that is, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he's
He's an animal.
Yes.
he's a warrior. He's written a book called Can't Hurt Me. I'd recommend checking that out.
Okay, cool.
So I'm trying to blend both of these principles together, so we have an equal amount of compassion and love, but also then we know when to turn the switch on and become strong and go after, the hard things, because I feel the mind constantly needs tempering. It needs constant challenge to feel like we have it under control. So that's why we do the cold therapy. Like I have a cold plunge outside my house every morning at 5:30. I'm putting ice cubes in, and I'm going in. I fucking hate it. Every day I don't want to do
pretty
it.
sure I'd hate it.
Yeah, every day, man.
But how do you feel after it?
Good.
Yeah.
Just peaceful. Like the crazy thoughts of being put back in their box for a little bit, and I feel that everyone would benefit from, male or female, from putting themselves through more voluntary hardship to come out the other side and have more control over every other part of their lives. And I think that is why a lot of young people especially are struggling, because they don't put themselves in any difficult situations. We have too much abundance of everything, too much access to food, money, pornography, and the brain's just gone soft as shit. It's mushy, the happiest guys you meet are the ones who have gone through the hardest things and come out the other side,
Yeah.
So wow. there's many many dimensions to this problem.
I think it's the hard work and the reward thing. It's you can put it into the working out thing, isn't it? Whereas like sometimes I really, really don't want to work out, and I say, just come on now, stop being like a bitch and get in, do it.
Get that pre-workout down you.
Yeah, and then you feel so much better
Yeah,
because you've done it.
do, yeah.
And if you don't do anything, you probably aren't going to feel great about yourself. Can we talk a little bit about your business, because you mentioned sort of like a little bit like mentoring young people, and then maybe like a fitness and potentially diet. So can you like explain what kind of that business is?
Yeah, so I moved back into the fitness space the start of this year. It's something that, like I said, I'd been wanting to do for a long time, and having the skill from the media business as well, I was able to put my message out into the world, mostly through Instagram. That's mostly where I'm based. And I'm doing group coaching in Atomic Health and Fitness. So we've got a group of guys who are all smashing it there and really enjoying that. And then on my online coaching, I've got a small group of guys written a number of ebooks and just put everything I've learnt about and gained over the last kind of 10 years into this package that I push on them. And we have coaching calls. We've got loads of kind of long form content and stuff for them that I put on the Facebook page, and I just give them the love and support essentially that I know they need to make the change, because you can sell someone a program, but unless there's a soul behind it and a connection and someone checking in on you to make sure you're okay and guiding you through the process, you probably won't get any results, So
it's too easy to leave it, isn't it? It's too easy to come off that program.
Exactly.
If you don't got the will, you ain't going to carry on.
So it's just putting everything I've kind of learned and built up into one program, and just trying to help as many men as I can.
How's it all going?
Really good.
Yeah.
We've got a small crew on so far, but all the guys are super driven and really making big moves to change everything. It's a whole overhaul of cutting out these foods and addressing, for the majority, it's a little bit of a food addiction, and I think we've probably, again, all been through, I've definitely been through my own version of that, smashing one or two Ben and Jerry's per week at one point, actually.
I think I'm still in that at the moment. I think I might be still in that phase that I need to like.
I have the one filthy day, day a week.
You
I
have
look
your
forward to it,
cheat
though.
day then.
Yeah.
I
So
feel
every
like I
Sunday
almost have to have some form of cheat day, otherwise I would just.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just crave it sometimes. And I understand it is like an addiction, isn't it? Sugar is addictive. But I feel like if I don't give myself anything, I might just go. I can't go too hard. I think I'm scared about going too hard.
Do you know part of it is though? Part of it is I just want one day off from thinking about a meal I've got to produce or my partner has to produce. I just want us to both have a day off from cooking and just we eat whatever we want. We just slam it in the oven or order it.
Yeah.
You're like super strict, right? You don't have a cheat day. You don't have any guilty pleasures. You don't have any chocolate. You don't have anything. You must have something. Come on.
Dark
So
chocolate is okay.
Sugar is actually more addictive than cocaine, and like you said earlier, because we need to eat, our brains can never forget about it. So if you needed to or wanted to, the only way to get rid of a sugar addiction is to go cold turkey, 100% out. And even a cheat meal, I do factor it into most of the guys' programs just because they need some kind of, like you said, some kind of break.
Yeah.
But if you have any type of addiction, and there's guys who are binging, like I said, I've been guilty of that in the past. The best way for me to go through my life is just to cut it out completely, 100% gone, because there's no argument for anyone to say that you need it. You just want it, you know? So I'm trying to master every craving that I have. I'm trying to take total control over every part of my life. And that involves me. If I go around telling guys that they need to stick to these programs and do these hard things, and then I'm munching on a Ben Jerry's every night, you know, I'm trying to lead from the front and practice every single thing that I preach, so I can say, I've done this and I'm here with you, you know? So for me, it's actually quite easy. It's quite easy. Like, I love my diet. I love the meat, the fruit. Like, fruit tastes so good when you don't eat sugar anymore.
Yeah.
Raw honey.
I guess that.
Like,
I was going to ask you about
honey.
I was going to ask you about honey because, like, I understand it's not refined sugar. It's a natural thing, honey, and it's amazing. But you do eat honey, do you?
Yeah.
That's okay.
So
because I was thinking if you had nothing sweet, it'd be terrible.
No,
but honey's
no.
amazing. Good quality honey.
Honey's been used for thousands of years. You know, like the Egyptian transcripts of honey being used to boost testosterone and just this a healer, isn't it? Like the Manuka honey, they rub it on wounds, and
Yeah.
it is
That's why we
another.
need the bees.
Yeah,
I went into a little bit of a rabbit hole about honeys, and I only found this out about maybe 6 to 8 months ago. And you know, you get really cheap honey in the supermarket. I'm sure you're aware of this. And then you look on the back, and it says it's a blend of non-EU honeys, right? And then I started to look at, like, what is that? And then they heat it. They add like syrups. Essentially, if you buy from the supermarket honey that's like £2, it's not really honey, you know. So now I only buy like single origin honey. Is that
real honey?
Yeah. So you go to
One
like,
ingredient, honey.
go to Medina's and buy like a local honey,
locally sourced, definitely.
Yeah, and then that could be good for your hay fever, etc. But I didn't even know that the honey you buy in the supermarket wasn't really honey. I never knew that.
that is.
It's hiding in plain sight, isn't it?
Yeah,
There's
it says
loads
honey
of
on it.
There's loads.
It's not. But I don't know how they get away with it.
That's most things in the supermarket, there, right? Just
Philadelphia's
stripped
another
apart,
one.
rebuilt, mechanically separated, and pumped full of chemicals just to make it taste better and last longer. And most things in a supermarket shouldn't be in the human body at all.
Shelf life is a big one because you mentioned that then, isn't it? It's so how long it can last. But something really good and natural, it might only last like 5 days. Or you know, it'd only be good. It'd have that little window of where you're meant to eat it, and then that's it.
I don't know why this popped in my head. I don't think I'll be able to answer this. But is there like a really fine line between a really strict diet and an eating disorder?
I think, to go into that a bit deeper, that body dysmorphia is massive now, and that can be linked. That's where the eating disorder comes from, because you care about how you look, and the food changes how you look, so you get obsessed with it. And apparently male body dysmorphia in future is going to be worse than female body dysmorphia because of the whole movement of steroids and social media and guys looking, you know, sitting at 5% body fat, and then these other guys are looking at it and they're thinking, I don't look like that. Whereas actually that's, you know, you're pumped up, you're photoshopped, you've dieted, you know, and I don't look like I do in my pictures 24/7. You know, you put on water weight and, you know, you diet down for a specific shoot just to look better, but then that's what you would represent as me 24/7. That's in your head, but it's not reality, you know.
Do you feel pressure being in the fitness space to look as good as you can do?
Yes and no. I used to feel a lot more than I do now. And now I push myself as hard as I feel like I can without putting any strain on my mental health whatsoever. So like today, for example, I used to train twice a day, and today I was like, I'm just going to go on my bike. You know, for most people, they'd still be like, oh, you're doing too much. But the fact that I didn't go and do weights training this morning is a big move for me now. and I don't push myself anywhere near as hard as I used to, because I know that if I'm in the best shape of my life but my head's a mess, I can't be there for my business, I can't be there for my friends. You're just, you're a walking shell essentially. And a lot of the guys you look at, they're in the best shape, are suffering.
They might be miserable.
Yeah,
you never know, because they might be so obsessed about getting in the best shape ever, and then scrolling and comparing and things like that it might be negative, I suppose.
Yep,
definitely.
You just got to be trying to be happy in yourself, and
you're obviously quite hard on yourself then.
Yeah, I guess it's relative, isn't it? Like, we all have standards that are our standards. So,
course, yeah.
Whereas there could be two men stood next to each other, and one could say, your standards are high, but the other guy has low standards. So he may look at him and think, you don't have enough of a standard. I just want to achieve all I can with my life. And I think, they say, have your last day, and imagine you're on your deathbed and someone comes to you and say, what do you wish you'd done that you didn't do? And for me, it's just like trying to be the best version of me.
Yeah, you want that list to be real small.
Yeah. If I can be, everyone makes mistakes, but I try and be the kindest, most forgiving person I can be, but also equally push myself with my strength and my fitness and business. And I think that would, if it come to my last day, I would feel really disappointed with myself if I hadn't pushed myself as hard as I could. And again, I don't hold other people accountable for not wanting that, because everyone wants different things,
Of course they do.
That's my personal journey.
Yeah, you don't want regrets, do you, I suppose? You don't want to have a really big, or a number of big regrets, thinking, why on earth didn't I chase that dream?
I'd
why
hate
didn't
that,
why didn't I do that? Or at least give it a go. It doesn't matter. If you try and you fail, at least you tried, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely.
Or then, like you said before, get back up. Maybe try and do it again. You're always going to get setbacks in life, aren't you?
That's the saddest thing you'll ever see, is a dream that died, because that's what everything has come from a dream at some point. Everything, your tattoos, your friends, businesses, anything you've ever done started off with a vision, didn't it?
As we're talking about aspirations, I suppose, in a way, where do you want to be in the near future, ideally, business-wise, where you live in? What are you doing?
In the near future, I'm just building. That's my focus. Again, I just want to help as many men as I can and get this out there in a way which is easily accessible for them. Refine my own service, because we're all learning and improving in the process as well. And just keep growing myself. Like, I love meeting new people and hearing about their journeys, and like that has been a massive healer for me. Like spending time with guys like yourselves and just opening up and talking about deep shit. Like I love diving deep. It's so good.
It's important, isn't it? Because it makes you realise that everyone's got stuff going on.
You're not alone,
isn't it? Not your own.
Yeah,
isn't it?
Exactly.
And this didn't happen like probably 10 years ago. Yeah, isn't it? It's probably as recent as that.
Certainly happened a lot less.
Oh yeah.
And then pretty much non-existent when you go into our parents' generation.
Oh,
it's like, but
chance.
they did have the pub though, and they had it easier in terms of the kids. I'll put it out there.
Oh, they did. They did. Straight down the pub or on the golf course, or watching the footy. Don't play either. We talked about hair loss last time that we were on the beach as well. Because I struggle with it. It's going. That's a big killer for men's confidence, isn't it? And I'm relating that back to testosterone as well, because I remember someone telling me maybe when it started to go with me, and I was like 28, and I thought, bit of a crow's nest going on up there. And they said it's because you've got a high testosterone. That's why people lose their hair. Is that real? Is that true? I don't know.
I wanted to ask that as well.
Yeah,
I've heard that. I don't know if
do you know the answer
I've
to
heard that, but I don't know if it's true.
High testosterone will do it.
Okay.
However, most of it is predisposed by your genetics.
Yeah.
So you could have very high testosterone and you might have hair your whole life. My granddad had a full head of hair on my mum's side until he was 92. However, on my dad's side, it's all gone.
Okay.
You know, so mine's gone, and it's it can be down to stress as well. You know, you could have good hair genetics. You've stressed, you know, alopecia. You've stressed yourself out to hell, and it falls out. I think that men put too much pressure on themselves to have amazing hair. Again, social media, same thing again. I've got friends who've had hair transplants, and you know, I'm not going to judge them in a negative way for that. And you know, if that's what they needed for their confidence, then all love to them. But what I say to guys is, no one really gives a shit what you look like, and it's only you. And if you're sat there thinking, I don't like myself, that's your problem that you could actually change, because no one else is even thinking about you, and no one's going to look at you and think, your hair's growing, I don't like that your hair's going, I don't like you anymore, you know. So again, it's the same thing. It's the practicing the self-love, you know. As we age, our bodies change, but we still have to love ourselves, and it's something that we have to let go of, or get a hair transplant.
Yeah, it's purely like vanity based in a way, isn't it? But I understand it can affect different people in different ways, etc. But so you dealt with it like probably quite well. Then you realized it was starting to go, and you were just like, okay, I'm gonna hack this off. I'd like shaving my head anyway, like especially with surfing. Like it's great, just go bang straight in the water, no hairstyle, and
no flick.
Yeah,
missed that.
Yeah, and I think I almost was, especially last year, just practicing a little bit of the kind of the Buddhist monk mentality, where I was like, oh, I'll just not focus so much on my style and my hair, and just obviously still train hard, but I was just locking in my personal growth and not thinking about how I was seen by others so much anymore. So that was kind of my shedding away my past a little bit.
And how old were you then, sorry? Would you reckon?
I was 32 when I shaved it off properly for the first time, yeah.
Do you know, as soon as you get out your 20s, you're really self-conscious in your 20s, I think. Well, I certainly was. And then your 30s, you start thinking, oh, do you know what? I'm 40s, I don't really care anymore. But if I had a chance to get a hair transplant and it was successful, I'd do it.
Yeah?
Yeah, I would. I know people who've had hair transplants, and sometimes doesn't look as good as you thought it was going to look. But would you have one if you, let's say you woke up tomorrow and it was like a fryer tuck on there?
I reckon
A fryer.
I think I would, but then it's one of those things, a little bit like kids, or you can say a load of other things. It's hard to know until you know, isn't it? And I've been lucky with my hairs, and I've still got my hair. I'm like coming up to 42. But if I had to hazard a guess, I mean, I'd probably maybe give it a go. Like, I certainly never judge anyone going for hair transplant, and maybe I would do it myself as well. But then I don't know how I would feel. I have shaved
exactly
in lockdown. I
I've
shaved
no
my hair
idea.
off. I went down to a grade like 2 or whatever, which is like pretty short, and I was happy with it. But then that was like a personal choice, not like the choice was taken away from you. I don't know, so it's hard to say.
You said it a little while ago, but porn, that's having a detrimental effect on young men, their perceptions of sex, all that sort of thing. What's your opinions?
Do you know what? It's not just young men.
Yeah.
Pornography is a massive problem in the West, especially because it's more frowned upon in the East with the cultures and religions, but in the West, the rise of OnlyFans has just given men so much access to free women, essentially, or you know, they've been paying for it, which is crazy considering you can get porn for free, but there's still guys I'm paying thousands of pounds for it every month, you know.
I don't get that. I'm trying not to judge people, but like it does seem crazy, isn't it, that you've got so much content out there that you could watch for totally free, like all the porn websites, Pornhub, etc. And then you would pay, say, I don't know, like 10 quid, 15 quid a month to someone for like personal content.
It's almost like you fall in love with that person. You just
I
got
bet.
to
Well,
have
that's
them
it.
all the time.
Or is it like
it.
people who just have like quite a lot of money, quite a lot of disposable money, and they're like, oh, whatever, I'll do that. I can't think of
What
who.
do you think it is, James?
people
What do you reckon is it like?
There's a lot of, again, going back to what we were talking about, there's a lot of lonely men. And when a lot of these men are not short of cash, but they are short of attention, and loneliness is the reason behind all of it. You know, if you're not lonely and you've got a girlfriend, then why would you bother with all that, you know?
Yeah.
So they have this way to get this love and attention from someone who doesn't give two shits about them, but they feel some kind of connection because they've spoken to them, which is really sad. So I don't judge the guys that have porn addictions. I feel sorry for them. And I just like to gently guide them in the direction of stopping, because it's so bad for your brain. Yeah. It's the equivalent of being addicted to a class A drug. They look at the brain scans of men who have heavy porn addictions, and they're the same as heroin addicts. Like the long term, it's so damaging because of the dopamine release. The dopamine is released. It makes hard work feel good. So we're supposed to get dopamine when we go to war together, or we build a bridge, or you know, we have a good connection. But when you release dopamine for free with your phone or pornography, you start to damage your dopamine receptors. So what happens then is these guys they'll have sexual dysfunction as well. So they're going to be, you know, struggling with erectile dysfunction, and like you said, their perception of what sex is completely warped. Yeah, and the more they do it, the more hardcore it gets, and they don't then understand how women actually are supposed to be treated, you know, especially the younger guys. But I could talk about it all night. It's so damaging to men, and every guy watching this would do very well to put it away for good.
So I'm guessing you don't watch porn anymore?
No. So when I dived into all of this in 2018, it was gone, and yeah, I felt so much better. And now it doesn't even cross my mind. And when people talk about it, it's so foreign to me, because I feel for the guys that have the issues, but it's not something that remotely affects me or draws me towards it.
Yeah,
that's amazing. I'm really similar. When the internet first came out, and my parents split up, and I was spending a lot of time in my house in the front room with that PC. And I'm not going to go into details, but you start almost collecting actresses or whatever you're into. You start collecting in your head, and you're like, those are my favorite. And over the years I had such unhappy relationships, and I was still watching porn, and I fully cleansed myself. Like I think it was like the first month or two of COVID. I looked at my drinking, I looked at smoking, and I looked at lots of things I was doing. Because when COVID happened, I was just in the garden drinking gin all day, smoking cigarettes. Like, I thought, holiday, here we go. But I did like this cleanse, especially with porn, and I'm so connected to my partner. It's like I can't believe I didn't do that before. I can't believe I didn't stop before. It's woke me up so much. And it actually, the thought of it now, like, repulses me. Like, it's literally like, guys, find a lovely girl and just be with her.
It's very difficult to be present in a relationship when you have that addiction.
You're not there. You're all, and you judge her, and you're looking at her going like, why aren't you wearing what I want you to wear in my head? Sort of thing. You know, it's bad.
Yeah, it's a huge problem, which I don't think it's been talked about that much, really.
Yeah.
But again, it's another distraction. You know, if you want to build a business or go on a personal development journey, that is not what you want to be focusing on.
No.
Because it's just taking from you all that dopamine that you could be plowing into something which is actually going to benefit your life. It's the same with, you know, gaming. Not that it's not as insidious, but you know, a little bit of gaming's fine, like we used to do, but there's a lot of guys now sitting on there 24/7 and it's the same thing, you know, just losing that dopamine and creating that addiction, and they've just checked out of reality, you know.
So I would consider myself a gamer, but I'm aware of what how my hours spent on gaming, and I try and break up so let's say for example, a winter's day, right? So I look out the window, it's like the worst weather you can imagine. It's sideways rain. I'm not going out there. It's dark. I'll turn on the PlayStation and I'll happily spend 4 or 5 hours. But then after that 4 or 5 hours, I'm like, okay, let's put that down for a bit. let's do some press ups, let's have some nice food, yada yada yada, and see how the day goes. But I do, and I gotta stop doing this. So I'm working at 9 o'clock tomorrow morning. I will get up at 6, coffee and my breakfast, which is going to be healthy. That's fine. But I will play Elden Ring until I leave for work, probably.
Gaming dawning.
Because it's like it I feel away from stress when I'm doing it, and
Escapism.
I guess that's exactly what you talk about. Like it's like a fake hit of dopamine, but I guess I'm aware of it as well.
I think
I feel like I'm in control of it.
These problems are not problems unless they're a problem.
Yeah,
So I can't sit here and tell you that that's bad for you.
Mm-hmm.
Only you can do that. So if you go to work and you feel anxious after doing that, that means that's an issue. If you use that, I wouldn't personally. I used to love games, man. Skyrim was my thing.
Masterpiece.
Me and Dave were more like a Duck Hunt, I think, and then they really dropped on.
No,
Mario Kart.
Legend of Zelda.
I did actually. Sorry, Zelda and things
and
like
GoldenEye.
Yeah.
So did you get like addicted to it, or were you?
Flat out. Yeah, flat out. I have such an addictive mindset, and that's why I have to completely remove anything addictive.
Mm-hmm.
So
like
I am
the diet
in monk mode, because if I eat a chocolate bar, I'm going to buy 2 Ben and Jerry's and 20 donuts, and that's going down. So it's the same with gaming, and I just got to a point when I just removed it all because I was like, I can't. I'd just wake up, I'd sit up all night, and if I had a level to hit, I'd be awake until it was done, and it'd be days. But what I've managed to do is remove.
No comment.
Addictive personalities.
yeah. But you can use that same addictive tendencies to produce something incredible if you want to. And I think that's why a lot of young guys suffer now, because they have this insane drive and this desire to do something with their life, and they put it into something negative rather than positive. And I always say that you can't turn that energy off, you can only direct it. So if you don't use it, it will destroy you. But if you can use it for good, like, you can probably change the world.
Just need to harness it, isn't it, for positive.
I do pottery as well. It's quite nice.
Bit of Ghost.
You're probably too young to remember that film, Ghost. Do you remember the film Ghost?
Patrick Swayze?
Demi Moore.
No. Did Patrick Swayze in Point Break, though.
Oh,
classic.
Surfing. We talk about surfing.
Let's talk about surfing.
You haven't surfed for a little while, have you? Were you saying?
Have any of us?
No.
I broke a shortboard on Bath Rocks in January. Bought a new Paisel, and then I snapped that in Portugal. Not even in the sea, on the plane.
Hellish
on the way?
I dropped in the Zara and snapped a board. No,
exactly. On the way to Portugal or on the
back?
Oh, that's okay.
At least you got to surf a little bit out there.
Where did you go in Portugal? Where was it?
Sagres. You got.
That is the spot, isn't it?
What was it? Tonel Beach.
We called it Toby's. I don't know why.
Toby's, yeah.
Sick.
Couldn't pronounce it.
Great little wave.
When
it was always cold.
And Beliche.
It was.
It's Atlantic, isn't it?
Yeah. But
it's colder than France though, and that's Atlantic.
How long were you there for?
Just a week.
Nice.
Yeah. The surf wasn't amazing, but I just got a camper van. So I just rented a indie campers, they're called. It's like 400 quid for the week, and you just get a camper van. It's all kitted out, and off you go, which is perfect, because a lot of the time when you're driving back to a hotel, if you're like, especially if you're doing some extreme sport, you'd rather just sleep. Right next to where you are, so that was perfect, like really fun for the week.
Have you done much travelling with surfing, or surfing and travelling?
Only Scotland, Portugal, France, and then obviously around England and Wales as well. Still the heaviest waves I've surfed have been in Wales though.
North
have some like some fresh west as well, like paddle out on some days in fresh where probably shouldn't have, and just big old swells, which we don't see as many anymore. It's and again, I'm not sure whether that's tied in with global warming, but
I think it is.
The Gulf Stream's like shifted, isn't it?
Yeah, you could talk to a chap called Lee Danier about this. He knows everything about it, and the Gulf Stream is deflecting away from us, meaning our climate's changing and our surf is stopping, unfortunately.
Really? Wow. Yeah, I remember we'd have, week-long sessions in the trap.
Yeah.
And it would be pumping,
Yeah.
like breaking right off past the stone jetty there, and the rights would just be hammering through into the, on low tide, just reeling all the way through. And we'd go out and get a McDonald's and then just get back in, just eating burgers and surfing all day.
Fried.
And yeah,
It's
literally.
definitely changed, isn't it?
Yeah. The
In
sun.
our
There was
lifetime's
the thing.
definitely changed.
There was the sun as well. Do you remember the sun?
No.
What's that?
I don't remember.
What's
that
that?
yellow thing in the sky? It's just like
I don't know if we're looking back
They
in like
switched that off.
rose-tinted glasses a little bit,
Yeah,
but it
that
does
is the
seem
thing.
better in terms of like the weather, the
Yeah.
surf and things. Like, I hope we're just not headed for doom and gloom. I don't know.
I wonder if there's a lot of people in the UK like moving abroad now because of how
There
bad. I bet there is. You know.
Definitely.
Yeah.
If I could, I'd move to like Hossegor. That's like my favourite place on the planet, I think, that I've ever been to. I love the
Preps
lifestyle. I love the
It is nice.
houses. I love the food. I love the beach breaks. Just,
Oh, they're amazing.
Yeah.
Huge beach as well, isn't it?
it's like 200
So
miles of
long,
beach.
isn't it?
Incredible.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, if I
So-
could.
They're good.
Scotland. So where did you go to Scotland?
Thurso. Yeah.
I've always wanted to go
Nice.
there, but I've never
Sick up
been.
there.
That was on Rampage 2, the bodyboarding
Yeah,
video from
it was.
years and years ago.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, sick up there.
that's,
And,
that's
and
the
you
right.
surfed there,
is it?
so yeah.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah, sick.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, lovely spot, man.
Are you regular?
Yeah.
So you,
Yeah,
you
Oh,
probably
perfect.
enjoy going right, is it? Or well, I think you could backhand as well, but I mean,
I throughout the winter, because the best spots here were Newquay and Rusted then, so
Yeah.
I just just going left. I don't think I went right over the whole of winter. Like
Yeah, it's hard.
on your backhand, you start getting, it's like a different sport, like two different sports, isn't it?
Yeah.
You go on your front hand, suddenly you go back, and you're like, oh, I can't even surf anymore. But then I was really starting to get a lot more flexible and doing a lot of like surf specific training in the gym, and that was like, I was realizing that my pop up and stuff needed a lot of work, and if you just repeatedly practice those things, like you get so much better with them.
Core strength and stuff, I guess, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, not much this summer.
If you like right-handers,
Been
get
a
yourself
shocker.
down Morocco.
Yeah, sick.
Basically, Morocco is just right-hand central. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, I need
Yeah.
to visit.
Yeah.
It's cheap there as well, isn't it?
Yeah. And they got a really healthy lifestyle out there. 'Cause there's no booze. Really good food. But
Sick.
yes, I would get a camper van if I was you with its own toilet, because if it rains,
Not the best.
they ain't
not
got the
good.
best sewage systems. I tell you.
okay.
I'm
I actually checked my phone and naturally smashed through
Yeah.
all of the questions naturally. So
have you got anything
yeah,
else you want
great.
to talk about, James, whilst we're in here?
I think we pretty much
Covered
I think we
quite
hit
a
it.
lot.
Yeah, I think we
I'm quite
covered
happy
quite.
with what we shared there.
Yeah.
Happy to roll into
Sure.
some quick fire questions then.
Okay. Ready?
Shoot.
Favorite film?
Fury.
A tank.
The one
Tank.
Oh,
with
is it?
Brad Pitt. Yeah,
That is my favourite.
yeah.
I
I
do
do
like
like
I've
a-
seen it.
Do like a war
It's a
movie.
good film. Nice.
It is good. Yeah.
Is it based on a true story or is it?
Yeah.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, it was a tank, American tank squadron, World War II, kind of pushing against the SS, and the German tanks were just like so much better than the American tanks.
They were.
But that I probably have, it's got to be Fury, Inglourious Bastards, and Shawshank Redemption all together, 3 films.
Good
That's
choice.
my Christmas sorted.
Yeah,
Triple header.
Inglorious
Yeah,
Bastard.
mate.
That's Brad Pitt as well, is it?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I got
Yeah.
a soft spot for the old. I know it's a bit cliche, like, but in those films, he's
No, he's good.
there.
Yeah.
Like,
Do you want to know a little thing about that film?
go on.
So, have you ever seen Pride and Prejudice? Right. So the chap who plays Mr. I can't remember his name, but he's the guy who's like always like, oh, yes, sir, I'll do whatever you want, and he does this like he sucks ass basically. He plays Hitler in that film,
Really
and he is completely different, and he's jacked. He's absolutely jacked.
mad.
Yeah.
Shawshank Redemption bombed the first time it came out.
Oh, mate.
It wasn't successful at all.
How?
On its
Really?
second release, like 2 years later, it just went.
I wonder if it was the
They
length.
weren't ready, I guess.
The length as well.
Maybe.
Because
The
it
world
was
was
quite
not
a
ready
long.
for that film.
It was so good.
Incredible film.
Favorite music or band or
Do you know what? I hate it when people say this is an answer, but I have different genres that I focus on.
yeah. Hit me with a
Depending
couple of
on-
genres.
No,
then.
that's
Yeah.
I
Same
think that's
as
how
me.
we all
yeah,
feel.
yeah, definitely. But
So I love cinematic film music for my work at home, like my editing, or I listen to a lot of like 432 hertz, like just meditation music. And people come into my house and they're like, "What the hell are you doing?"
What have you got playing through that speaker?
Yeah.
In the background?
What is that? That's like, is that a gong baths and things
Yeah,
like that?
similar to
okay.
it's just the frequency that the music's tuned to.
Right,
It's
okay.
just like that, like one of the frequencies of the universe, isn't it? And all that. I won't go into that too much. And then, complete contrast, I like metalcore that I listen to in the gym. You've got like Slaughter to Prevail, and then all the old classics like Bullet and all that stuff, the softer stuff. And then I love techno, so Adam Beyer, Alan Fitzpatrick, Rebuke. So I've got my techno and my metal playlist depending on how hard my gym session is.
Yeah.
And then the metal comes out if there's heavy deadlifts coming and stuff.
Yeah, I think metal just goes hand in hand with you really desperately going to failure or something like that
literally.
on the weights.
It's someone screaming in your ear, isn't it? Like especially when you've got a proper screaming song and it's just pumping. But yeah, I love music, and I think that it's so important for people to be, it can change your mood. Like it literally changes if I need to get pumped up in the morning for coaching or just because I feel a bit low, like I'll put on a good song that I love, and it literally changes how I feel.
Yeah.
It's so good. Like
Art is amazing,
it's
isn't
so
it?
good.
You know?
Yeah, probably my favourite art form.
I got favourite food down here. Ben and Jerry's.
No. two on the head.
I would say but if I've got to live on something for the rest of my life,
there we go. Then
it's
what would you? Yeah, what
it's
would
going to be steak.
was it?
Yeah.
What
Because
cut?
And how'd you have it?
it's going to be rare. Like if it's cooked out like in a restaurant, blue, and cut is going to be tomahawk.
Never had a tomahawk.
Try it, man.
What is that
It's
part?
an experience.
Do you know what part you know? You're a chef.
Oh, gosh.
What part? Oh, maybe.
It's got a bone, so I reckon it's near ribs. That's all I
Big
can tell
part.
you. I didn't know
Yeah,
that.
it's gonna be a big slab.
I didn't fuck with tomahawks when I was a chef.
Fine.
Sirloin and
They're
rump.
not that popular, are they?
No.
In the States, they probably more so, isn't it? Because we don't always get on the bone.
Wagyu steak,
Wagyu's
huge, isn't
taken
it?
over.
I don't think I've ever had.
Japanese.
Oh, I had a Wagyu burger, but it's probably not quite the same. I've never had a Wagyu steak. Isn't like a,
Really expensive. If you don't like
Yeah.
the fatty cuts, obviously like a fillet or a Wagyu is going to be the one to go for because it's just so clean, isn't it? And that's the more expensive one. But the tomahawk for like the complete fat and protein experience, and obviously more calories as well. So
Have you ever eaten at Pastures in Cardiff?
no,
So that's the place.
yeah,
I most expensive meal of my life because I had one dish and it cost 120 quid, which is a tomahawk, a kilogram.
nice, wow.
It was the best thing I've ever eaten. Put
Yeah.
garlic butter on that. I was just like gone.
Oh
I
yeah.
had broccoli with it. That was it.
healthy. It's a good one.
Yeah, it's like I love meat on bone because it's got, for me, it's just got a different like little flavour on it. It's just because the bone comes over in the cooking. I think it's really
It's
nice.
primal, isn't it?
Yeah, and afterwards,
It's primal. Yeah.
Love that.
That's it.
Happy.
Yeah.
Happy.
Happy.
Cool.
Want to thank
you.
you for
Thanks, James.
coming on. Thanks for being so honest. And
Yeah.
it's been
Thanks
great.
for having me.
Thanks very much.
It's been emotional.
Cheers.
Thank you.